Why talents always beats hard work and how to actually become talented. I remember when I was in GS2 and I loved playing football and I wanted to become the best footballer I could be. So I searched YouTube and I saw all these different cone drills, bodyweight exercises from channels like Will John, 7MLC, Unisport. So I thought that if I did more of that, I would have I'll get ahead of my peers because I actually started late. I started playing at the age of 11 and I had players that had been playing since they were 5 years old. So of course I did those stuff and I doubled down on them. But the thing that was getting annoying was that one of my friends, we're not really friends that time, but his name was Eri. He was still getting better without putting in the work, the amount of work that I was putting in. And it was pissing me off. Why am I doing so much work and I'm not getting the results? And the more it pissed me off, the more work I did. So imagine doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. So he was a very, very talented player, a left-footed player. Like sometimes we used to play against each other. So sometimes I would just stop to watch how talented he was and wonder, how is this guy so talented? Is it possible to become talented like this? And it was pissing me off because he was not putting in the work I was putting in and it was getting better. So fast forward some years later, when I was completely pissed off and I wanted to finally sign, as in to pay for a gym membership and double down on the grinding, I now came across an Instagram page called Football Entangled and he explained what he really said resonated with me. And what I grabbed out of it was playing small-sided games is very important. So I now double down on playing small-sided games, and I stopped doing all those other things like gym work, bodyweight exercises, and cone drills. So then I had another friend named Tamilore, and he was really a grinder. He was also talented, but was a Ronaldo fan. So he believed so much in hard work. So when I told him about Football Entangled, it did not resonate with him. It was like he now made a very fair argument that I could not give him an answer to that time. He told me that if it was just by playing small-sided games, why is it that all of us that were playing in our class, why is it that only few of us were getting better every time, and the few that were terrible were still terrible? So at that time, it was actually a fair point, and I couldn't give him a response back. But now I've really gotten the answer to what made some people more talented than the others, even though we're all playing the same small-sided games together. And number one is athleticism. So there's something called fascia, and fascia is a thin connective tissue that wraps around all our bones, organs, tendons, and nerves. And fascia is responsible for coordination and skill and athleticism. Like think of a kangaroo. How a kangaroo can bounce effortlessly is because of the elasticity of fascia. So fascia is responsible for all athletic movements, and we are all born with fascia. But the difference between us and the pros, or us and the people that are better than us, is that they train their fascia unconsciously from a young age. For example, somebody like me now, when I was young, mostly I just used to watch cartoons and sit down in a chair all day long. I never did any activity outdoors. So, of course, my fascia will not have developed like someone that was playing around, running around, playing tag, playing basketball, just playing around outside. So that's how the pros develop their fascia unconsciously as well. Then also in athleticism, we also have biomechanics. And biomechanics is how our body moves in time and space. Gym work and modern living ruins our biomechanics. Normally, as human beings, as living creatures, We are meant to move in spirals, left, right, spiral. If you watch players in slow motion, if you watch Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, if you watch all of them in slow motion, they run in spirals. And animals to babies, when babies are crawling, babies crawl in spirals, left, right, left, right. But due to gym work and modern lifestyle and living, our core is braced and we cannot spiral effortlessly again. So it gets harder for us to spiral effortlessly, which gives us bad biomechanics. So to cover fascia and biomechanics, I will drop a free guide on the basics of fascia and biomechanics down in the description. And then gym work and bodyweight exercises. Gym work and bodyweight exercises don't actually make us better or more athletic. In fact, they ruin our athleticism because, for example, when we're running, we're supposed to run with the ball of our feet. Our heels are not supposed to touch the ground. But in most gym exercises, they reinforce heel touching your heels on the ground to be able to lift properly. So that's just one of the reasons why gym work is bad. There are several other reasons why gym work is not good for you, and it's also be included in the fascia guide that is free in the link in the description. Then another reason why some are talented and why some are not talented is vitality. The problem is that we grind, we do all the cone drills, all the training, all the gym work, and then we ignore the things that make us vital, like sleep, sunlight, and grounding. Those are the three essentials for proper vitality. There's something in us called mitochondria, and the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's responsible for all living functions, and it's like a furnace. If we want the furnace to burn better, we have to do the things that make it burn better, and those are the three things I mentioned: sleep, sunlight, and grounding. So sleep, it's not just about how many hours of sleep. The time you sleep is also very important because there's something called circadian rhythm, and that's our body's internal clock. So at particular times, it releases particular hormones that you cannot get again. So from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m., there are some hormones that are supposed to be released, and once you miss that window, you've missed it. So the lie that does not matter what time you sleep, as long as you sleep 8 hours, is a very big lie. So sleep is very important. Sleep from 10 p.m. up to 6 a.m. That's the proper sleep schedule for our mitochondrial function. And then we have sunlight. The problem is that these days we live more indoor. We don't go out as much as possible, and that's ruining our mitochondrial function. The sun is not dangerous. I don't know why people always lie that the sun is dangerous. Go out in the sun, especially early morning sunlight and late evening sunset as well. Then grounding, at least 15 minutes a day. Get your bare feet on natural ground to receive free electrons from the ground. And then we have skill. This one was the one that I made huge mistakes in when I was just starting off, because I believe that in order to improve my technique, all I needed to do was do as much cone drills and ball mastery as possible, but I completely got it wrong. Look at players like Yamal, Messi, Neymar, Ronaldinho, all top players. If you check it very well, they all have a background of small-sided games, playing with their friends, 2v2, 1v1, 3v3, having fun. That's where all talent comes from. Okay, can you imagine Neymar now when he was a small boy? Mommy, I'm going to the court with my cones. I want to go and do some cone drills. No, he just went outside with his friends and had fun. Small-sided games. And the only way you can improve in small-sided games is when you have your baseline athleticism. You know, the first point we discussed, athleticism. once you have your athleticism in check, anything you do on the pitch is improvement. That's why sometimes the pros can get away with doing anything because they have so much athletic potential that any touch you make, any touch, you are getting better with every touch. And then we have if in with skill, I mentioned small-sided games. We also have max intent principle. So train, if you cannot play small-sided games, maybe you play small-sided games 3 times a week, 3 times a week, I have like 2 days extra. You can use those 2 days extra to train individually on things that you need to train using the maximal intent principle. So the maximal intent principle is we're trying to replicate the intensity of small-sided games, but on a individual level. So imagine we are doing maximal intense dribbling now, and again we are not using cones, we are not using any ladders or anything. All we need is a ball and some space. So imagine we are doing maximal intense dribbling. If this is too easy and this is too difficult, we want to be operating just close to difficult. That means we're pushing our limits, that we're making few mistakes, but we're not pushing our limits too much that the quality drops off. I hope you understand. If you don't understand, try and replay it again so you'll be able to understand. And then we have game IQ. Game IQ is not that complex, but we overcomplicate it. Play as much small-sided games with better players and experienced players. Join a good team with experienced players that they can teach you lessons. Quit watching highlights and start watching full football matches, and at least once a week analyze full football matches, analyze a player in your position and take notes of what the player is doing. And then for mindset, I remember that sometimes when I was in my younger years, when I was still in like junior school, I would be on the courts playing, and before you know it, I already be thinking of some things that are not relating to what we're doing on the pitch. Like my mind would have wandered off. And the reason is that these days short form content ruin our attention span and we cannot focus on one thing at a particular time. So a habit like meditation keeps you in the present moment and allows you to enjoy yourself more. And if you even check research, one of the best ways that you can enter a flow state is when you're in the present moment. So meditation is very simple, and I will recommend that you download an app called Medito, Medito, Medito. And I recommend you start from 3 minutes and then build up. From 3 minutes, build up to 5 minutes, build up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So, but start up very, very small at first, because it's just like gym work. You cannot just go to the gym one day and say you want to start lifting 120 kg. It's not possible. You have to start from, I don't know how many kg that they start from because I've not been to the gym before. We have to start small and then progressively overload. And then journaling childhood trauma. This is one I just recently discovered. And I used to ask myself that why am I nervous to play ordinary small-sided games? Why am I scared of making mistakes for ordinary small-sided games with my friends? And I realized that it stemmed from when I was little. My mom was trying to teach me maths for exam, and once I did not get it, she would shout out to me. So that instilled in me like the fear of making mistakes. So once I journaled it, like I was at peace, like as if a heavy load was lifted off my shoulders. Once I journaled it down, and for the past 2 weeks since I journaled it down, I've gotten way better. Like I'm enjoying football right now. So if you want like a full step-by-step blueprint on how to become a talented player that people start asking you, How did you become talented? Not knowing that you had to work for it, but you did smart work. If you want the full blueprint, then to be the first link in the description. Thanks for watching. Bye.